Well, you're right on time for breaking today. Good evening from where you're watching us from. My name is Joel Chacha and our sign language interpreter is Michael Maithia. On a day that members of parliament are voting on the BBI bill, will be crossing live there in just a few. But first, here stories making headlines.
My problem, Senate works through committees and is the effective way to work. But the problem I have is once this committee has done its work, because it was working for the Senate, then that report either way should be discussed by the Senate and voted on.
A Senate votes an 11-member committee to be constituted to handle Wajir Governor Mohamed Mohamud impeachment. As scientists are now confident that existing vaccines can be redesigned to better tackle emerging mutations of COVID-19. Well, of course, by now members of parliament are voting on the BBI bill. Earlier on, there was a heated debate on that particular bill. And of course, for now, let's cross over to Parliament Live. Well, those are members of parliament voting on the BBI bill in parliament. Of course, we'll get back there just when they'll be announcing the results. And a heated debate having been witnessed as the leaders try to argue out the bill in Senate. In Senate, it has postponed the voting until next week, and where Kakamega Senator Cleopas Malala claimed the Jubilee government had favored the Mount Kenya region and forgone other counties. Chaos outside parliament were also witnessed as chaos chanted, as youths rather chanted songs to persuade the MPs to pass the bill. Namukana Samuel reports.
Confirm that I fully support.
In Parliament, the National Assembly and the Senate MPs have differed on the implementation of the BBI bill. Some senators claiming it is unconstitutional to pass the bill as it is. Bomet County Women Rep Joyce Korir lost her temper during the debate, claiming she wasn't happy to be used as a conveyor belt to pass the BBI without being allowed to amend it.
Right now, the 15% that you are talking about that is supposed to go to the county government is not there. The government is fighting. The government is borrowing daily to run the government. This is the same government that is being run by Junet and the rest. And I want to say this, Mheshimiwa Junet. I want to applaud Mheshimiwa Orengo and Mheshimiwa Tendo Omolo. Not because he is from the other divide, but because he saw the sense of having this concept that it must be amended.
Mr. Speaker, when I see us taking what we are discussing for granted or trying to play politics with it, I get disappointed. And I do not think I'm the only one who is disappointed. I think as a nation, those who put us in this house are disappointed with us when we are unable to look at the global good of our nation and get stuck in our own personal ambitions.
Kakamega Senator Cleopas Malala earlier brought tension in parliament, claiming the Jubilee government had appointed key leaders from a certain region in the country while leaving marginalized regions.
I want to go back to why we support this document as a party. One, because of the aspect of devolution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am a product of devolution. I was first elected as a member of County Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, the Chinese proverb says, you will only realize the importance of dialogue, the importance of negotiation, the importance of peaceful resolution of conflicts when a mosquito lands on your testicles.
Chaos have been witnessed outside parliament buildings as angry youths chanted songs to persuade the members of parliament to pass the BBI bill without making any changes. The youths, mostly from Western and Nyanza regions, say that they are not pleased by the current stand of some of their leaders.
This BBI process has taken us 3 years. Senator Orengo has been supporting this BBI from the time President Uhuru Kenyatta met our leader, our party leader, Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. He went to Naivasha with the president for a retreat. He read the statement supporting this process. What has changed from that bill?
The voting will determine whether the country heads into a referendum or not. The fate of the BBI initiative is said to be cemented today after the vote from the Parliament and the National Assembly. Namkana Samuel, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Well, I understand the voting is still ongoing in the parliament buildings and we'll be crossing live there just in a few, as soon as, of course, we get to know if they're releasing the results. Moving on, the Senate has resolved to appoint a special committee to look into Wajir Governor Mohamed Mohamud impeachment that comprised of the Senators Johnson Sakaja, Mwangi Kithiomi, Christine Zawadi, Susan Kihika, Mithika Linturi, Hagura Godana, Okongo Omogeni, Agnes Muthama, Petrolina Were, Frederick Outa and Issa Juma. The committee has been tasked to find out if the accused is guilty of the charges or not and file a report to the Senate within 10 days. Here's Robert Uma with more.
Despite the efforts by the Jubilee Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju barring the members of County Assembly in Wajir County from filing an impeachment motion in the County Assembly, the Tanga allied leaders went against the party, accusing the Governor Mohamed Mahmoud of allegations of gross misconduct, abuse of office and financial impropriety, which saw the County Assembly impeach the governor after 37 MCAs voted in support, while 10 members were against the motion in absence of 2. In a special sitting that was gazetted by the Senate Speaker to determine whether the matter would be handled by a plenary sitting of the House or an 11-member committee, the senators gave the demerits and merits of the both options.
In my many years in Parliament, many years in Parliament, I would encourage, from my own experience, that each senator has got his own self-worth. And when you sit or come before the Senate as a parliamentarian, you have your own self-worth.
If you feel you cannot discharge your responsibility, don't accept to serve on that committee. If you feel you have got some vestiges of bias or some hang-ups of some past relationships, don't accept to serve on that committee.
That portion of the plenary where we go into camera is weird. It's like a walk in hell. Just go, we close ourselves in a room, discuss amongst ourselves, and when we go into open camera, we say the things that we were saying off camera.
Being the first time an impeachment motion was tabled without the name of the proposed committee members, it was a topic of discussion.
I really want to commend Majority Leader here and the Minority Leader and the Senate Business Committee for taking a very genius decision of bringing the motion without the names. Because, Mr. Speaker, at least when we throw, if we throw out the motion, none of the senators will feel, Mr. Speaker, that we are targeting them. My problem, Senate works through committees and it's the effective way to work. But the problem I have is once this committee has done its work, because it was working for the Senate, then that report either way should be discussed by the Senate and voted on.
I must say, Mr. Speaker, that yes, we must appreciate the need for innovation and doing things differently. All the times that motions of impeachment have been brought into this House, Mr. Speaker, and especially the establishment of committees,
those motions have been accompanied by names. An explanation has been given as to why there was a departure from that tradition on this case. The Speaker, though I am not convinced that the argument put forward is convincing, the Speaker will be bound by that decision.
The senators finally voted for the matter to be handled by an 11-member committee after 28 senators supported it, 14 voting for plenary and 1 abstaining to vote. Robert Omar, Switch TV News.
Gears now to matters of health. Today, the country's positivity rate is at 8% after 705 new cases were confirmed and 25 more deaths were also reported. Scientists are now confident that existing vaccines can be redesigned to better tackle emerging mutations of COVID-19. However, lab results and real-life data suggest that some vaccines can protect against the new variants, although slightly less effectively. Here's Rachel Ndwati with more.
According to data from the AstraZeneca vaccine team, the vaccine protects just as well against the UK variant. It offers less protection against the South African variant, but should still protect against severe illness. Experts are now doing research on how they can develop a vaccine against the Indian variant that will help the body generate antibodies to fight the virus. This comes after Kenya reported that it had detected 5 people with the COVID-19 variant in India and was working at its best to ensure the patients were isolated.
Regarding the mutant, the double mutant or the Indian variant, yes, this variant has been picked in Kenya. And because of global connectivity, it is just a question of time. You cannot be able to put barriers to prevent a virus from accessing your territory.
During a BBI debate today at the National Assembly, Bomet County Women Representative Joyce Korir had this to say with regards to the Indian variant.
It is shocking. Right now you are talking about the new virus, the Indian virus. Yet the same government allow the flights to come in. You are now giving us the problems of how to solve it.
And we are here discussing about BBI rather than addressing the issue of COVID-19, Mr. Speaker. I am sad, I am not happy. As legislators, we have also talked about the COVID-19 and how people are dying.
Today, Kenya has reported 705 new cases of the coronavirus from a sample size of 8,853 with a positivity rate of 8.0%. The total number of fatalities recorded were 25, while the number of people who recovered were 711. Rachel Ndwati reporting for Switch TV.
Now 11 minutes past 7 p.m. We're due for a short commercial break. But just to remind you, of course, there is an ongoing process at the parliament where MPs are voting on the BBI bill. As soon as we get an update of that, we'll be crossing there live. But for now, we take a short commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Breaking Today. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Michael Maithe. Keep the conversation going via social media platforms at Sweet TV Kenya, Joel Chacha M on Twitter, as well on Facebook at Sweet TV Kenya and Joel Chacha. Send in an SMS via 111 444 Moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has delegated his appointments in strategic offices to former military chiefs and intelligence officers. Something which has continued to raise eyebrows among many of the head of state's recent gestures. Why these ex-military men? Is the president trying to militarize the country, or is this a scheme by a government trying to extend its term? Our very own Majibu Kisao explored more on these, leaving no stone unturned, and filed the following report.
President Uhuru Kenyatta is increasingly entrusting key positions in government to former military chiefs or intelligence officers as he shapes his legacy of war on corruption. The president, it appears, credits the military discipline and the insight of intelligence officers could help him deliver. Those who have been appointed into strategic positions by the head of state include Major General Muhammad Badi, who served in the Kenya Air Force, was appointed to head the Nairobi Metropolitan Services. Retired General Joseph Kibochi, who served in the Kenya Defense Forces, was appointed the chairperson of Kenya Ports Authority. Retired General Samson Mwathethe, who is a former Chief of Defense Forces, was appointed the chairperson of KenGen. Retired Major General Pastor Awita, who served in the Kenya Navy and in the Department of Defense Headquarters, was appointed to head the Kenya Railways Corporation. Brigadier John Waweru, who is a former commandant of the Kenya Naval Training School, was appointed to head the Kenya Wildlife Service. Twalib Mbarak served at the Kenya Intelligence Service and later appointed the CEO of Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Retired Major General Andrew Kenya, a former commandant at National Defense College, was appointed by Badi to chair the Nairobi Water and Sewage. Brigadier Vincent Naisholo Nena, formerly served in the Kenya Defense Forces, was appointed the Director General of Kenya Coast Guard. Retired General Julius Karangi was appointed to head the National Social and Security Fund. Karangi also served as the Chief of Defense Forces under Presidents Mwai Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta. The Kenya Meat Commission was taken over by the military from the Ministry of Agriculture. Begging the question, is the head of state trying to militarize the country? Is this a threat by the government trying to extend his term? In an interview with Switch TV, Byron Odera, a security analyst, said the president is not off target in his decision to appoint ex-servicemen in his fight against lamented issues, among which include corruption.
We do not want to see a situation whereby the president is killed, for that matter, by the things that are very important for us in this country: the war against corruption, the war against all the ills that affect us in terms of ethnicity, appointments being grabbed by people who do not deserve. And I think that's why fairly much you find these qualities nestled on the shoulders of the men and women, if it is, you're looking at it from that narrow perspective, the army, who are being the beneficiary and first-hand experience in terms of that character. The military takes you through a hothouse of character development, which basically burns into your brain and into your attitudes that make the men and women that the president is certainly looking at right now in terms of the war fighting against the ills affecting the society. Out there, you know, the open source information or intelligence, as we call it, has a heavy dosage of the fact that the president is on a drift to leave a lasting legacy. And I do not think he is, in a way, trying to extend. And he said that openly, so I'd choose to trust the president and take him on his word.
I think there's been some sort of lethargy. Not really think. There's been lethargy in how we run our public service in this country for many years, where public service has been a place for retirement for some people. Public service has been a place where you don't get job done, and it has generally had a very bad name. The president, in my opinion, has tried to, in his attempt to reform that, the public service, he went for the men and women in the military in his attempt to reform it.
It is now not cryptic that former military chiefs have been entrusted with playing a major role in matters to do with the war on corruption and terrorism in the recent past. Majibu Kisao for Switch TV.
And now allow me to mind your business for a couple of minutes. The Treasury has scrapped the 20% excise duty on bank loans fees, setting the stage for possible drop in the cost of credit to business and households. Lenders have contested the excise duty on fees from loans and filed a suit at the Tax Appeals Tribunals, that is TAT, which is an independent body that decides tax disputes. The 20% excise duty was introduced in 2018, triggering an increase in the cost of bank services, including loans, transfers, both local and international, over-the-counter withdrawals, as well as ATM transactions and account operating fees. Our very own Apollo James has more.
The removal of the excise tax is contained in the financial bill and will see banks saved up to 7 billion shillings annually on taxes generated from fees charged on processing loans. The government removed the cap on lending rates on November 7, 2019, after it was blamed for curbing credit growth during its 3 years of existence. The cap, which sets rates at 4 percentage points above the central bank's benchmark lending for all customers, had taken out that equation and the flexibilities that lenders say they need in order to accommodate customers deemed risky borrowers. Lenders have since last year been putting pressure on the Central Bank of Kenya to allow them to raise the cost of loans following the scrapping of lending rate controls. The regulator had asked banks to submit new loan pricing formulas that will be the basis of setting interest rates on new credit in an environment where the government was not controlling loan costs. Parliament will hold a vote on tax measures in the coming days ahead of the financial bill automatically becoming into law come July 1st. The proposal to remove the 20% tax also comes when some banks are locked in a legal fight with the Kenya Revenue Authority over collection of excess duty on fees and commissions generated from loans. Banks have argued that fees and commissions on loans are exempted from the tax, but the KRA maintains the earnings are part of their revenue streams and must attract the 20% duty. The tax was doubled to 20% 3 years ago through the Finance Act of 2018, leading to an increase in the cost of loans and other banking services as lenders pass the cost to borrowers and customers. Apollo James, Switch TV.
Still in the world of business, the e-commerce space is a fast-developing space with endless opportunities for young inventors. In a weekly technology segment this week, we look into point-of-sale technology as an e-commerce enabler. Our business reporter, Brian Mwenda, talks to Abraham Mbuthia, who is a technology expert who is transforming shops, that is dukas, to operate like supermarkets by empowering them with a point-of-sale software that digitizes retail in simplest form. Take a look.
Point of sale or point of purchase is where customers check out products online, walk up to your counter, or pick out an item from your stand. It is a system that has been predominantly used in supermarkets, but right now it has extended to retail outlets such as liquor stores, spare parts outlets, electronic shops, restaurants, and beauty and fashion shops. One of the inventors of this system is Abraham Mbuthia, a techpreneur and founder of UserPoint.
Point of sale is a bookkeeping software for small businesses. So think about it from a point where most businesses keep their records on a book. So we are automating that and putting it on a software. But for this case, for us as UserPoint, we put it on a mobile application and a web application.
Abraham explains the uptake of point of sale in the local market.
My biggest market is small businesses. So think about any retail shop. So it could be a liquor shop, it could be a hardware shop, fashion shop. That small business, either in town, CBD, or outside CBD, anywhere that you see a retail shop, that's our ideal customer, and that's the biggest market we have.
The Foyer Awards Techpreneur of the Year 2017 explains the success story of UserPoint as a point of sale creator.
As the founder, I've received many awards just because of this solution. In 2018, I was the Techpreneur of the Year in the Foyer Awards. I've been top 40 under 40. I've been 100 most influential Kenyans in Kenya. 2019, I was second runners-up in the Total Startup Challenge and won 1 million.
The young innovator boasts of a secure system that has assured its customers of minimal tampering.
But one of the things we've done over time is that when we went for the Google for Startups Africa program, they actually train you how to set up the best security in your system.
Abraham, every milestone made in the e-commerce space is an indication of a problem solved, and you can be as good as your last problem solved. Brian Mwenda, Switch TV.
Thank you, Bran Mwenda. Elsewhere, tea farmers are crying the delay of April tea mini bonus that they usually use to pay school fees. Led by Njunu Mugwe, a tea farmer of Njunu Tea Factory, the farmers say petty politics in implementing tea reforms have contributed a lot in paralyzing management of tea, hence delaying mini bonus. The farmers have said they were denied their right of voting in new directors. Speaking from their tea farms, the farmers who take tea farming as business say they elude those purporting to spearhead the reforms of having invested interest. The tea growers have called out the registrar of companies of rushing to incorporate names of newly elected directors, charging the handing taking over being questionable.
Tupewe uchaguzi wa maana. Hiyo uchaguzi wafutilie bali na kuna mpangilio ile inakuwa kwa majani chai. Kumekuwa na mambo mingi sana kwa sababu sema kweli watu walienda kuchaguliwa na wale walipanga hiyo uchaguzi ni wao walikuwa wanavetu watu na ni wao walikuwa wanachaguliwa na ni wao walikuwa nasema ni nani na nani watachaguliwa.
Mini bonus ilikuwa inatusaidia sana sasa kama wakati kama huu kulipia watoto school fees. Lakini kwa vile hiyo mini bonus hatukupata, hata watoto hatuoni kama watarudi shule.
Time to now get sporty. With the FKF Premier League set to commence in a week's time after President Uhuru Kenyatta allowed for the resumption of sporting activities, at least 2 clubs participating in the league have drawn the attention of the World Football Governing Body, that is FIFA. On Tuesday, Zoo Kericho was expelled from the top-tier league after FIFA found the club